wheelchair basketball, the National Wheelchair Basketball League. The gold medal game about to happen. The Women's National Wheelchair Basketball League game having just finished about 30 minutes ago. It's the Wollongong Roller Hawks looking for some sort of redemption after losing a titanic grand final 12 months ago down in Wollongong. The Darwin Salties looking to back up their first title, and in fact the first title ever by a team from the Northern Territory in any national sporting league in Australia. My name's Brendan Parnell. I'm joined by Campbell Fraser. And Campbell, what can the viewers expect today?
I think you can expect, it might go without saying, but a lot of energy, a lot of, I don't want to say aggression in a bad way, but a lot of passion comes out in these teams. They've faced off already once this weekend. The Salties coming away with a 19-point, or rather, 19-point victory. Sorry, over the Roller Hawks. But the Roller Hawks having a really good show in that, but kind of unable to stop Hasso, or Luis Eduardo Hasso Sandoval, affectionately known as Hasso, shooting 60% in that game. So a little bit of an outlier throughout their normal season, but something that you can expect. I think the Roller Hawks will come out flying against him and look for different ways to kind of shut down that momentum.
Right. The National Wheelchair Basketball League, of course, brought to you, managed by Wheelchair Basketball Australia, established in 2024, and the wonderful people at the Beluga Foundation sponsoring the entire league. It's the Darwin Salties. They're sponsored by the Northern Territory Government and the Just Better Care Wollongong Roller Hawks. Our officials today are just congregating in front of the score table. Kathy Hay is the crew chief for today, along with Ethan Lloyd and Nick Tomasic. And as the teams go through their last-minute preparations, starters for the Salties, it'll be Jalen Brown, the undoubted star of their team, in 0. Alexander Blackmore in 5, Yannick Blair in 10, Tom O'Neill-Thorne, who was last night named as the most valuable player in the league, in 15, and Luis Eduardo Hasso. And if you want to know how we're going to refer to him today, it's Hasso. That's his name across the sport. He's a Mexican international who has brought something special to the league this year. And for the Roller Hawks, it's Thomas Klein in 6, Jonty Brown in 8, Hannah Dodd, one of the Australian gliders, the Australian women's team program, backing up from a gold medal game just 30 minutes ago with the Sydney University Lions. In 9, Tristan Knowles, the undoubted spiritual leader of the Roller Hawks, in 19. And their import, Jordi Ruiz from Spain, a 3-time Paralympian with 18 years of professional experience playing in Europe. He's in 45. We're about to get underway. The first tip goes to the Darwin Salties, playing in the black strip with the orange trim. It's the Roller Hawks from Wollongong in the white. Tom O'Neill-Thorne in 15, looks at a 3. Early on, that's off. Ruiz with the rebound for the Roller Hawks. Finds Knowles in the corner. Long 2 is good. The late close from Blackmore there. To no avail. O'Neill-Thorne pushing the ball for the Salties. Looks for the long arms of Hasso. You'll see a lot of that this afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be a question of whether the Roller Hawks can find a way to stop Hasso getting into the key. He's a big, intimidating man once he's inside the key, and he won't miss those shots.
You can probably hear him in the background yelling out defensive instructions. He will anchor the defense, and he's a character in every sense of the word. It's Jonty Brown gets his scoring underway. O'Neill-Thorne thinks about the long pass, thinks better of it, and now he goes with it. It's unusual to see Hasso drop anything.
It's pretty important to note that he was already in the key once. He made his way out of the key and got back in to try and receive that pass. He's a very strong player, strong offensive player, and he gets where he needs to be.
For anybody unfamiliar with the wheelchair game, you'll see a lot of action in the backcourt. Players being held up, screened, back screened. Just a standard part of play. It's Knowles. The nice turnaround. It's a little long. Hasso barking instructions from the back of the transition. Jalen Brown makes his way down the floor. Pushes off Knowles there. skips to Tom O'Neill-Thorne. He thinks about the three. Gets past Johnny Brown. Flicks the bounce pass to Jalen Brown. That three's off.
Almost goes careening into the crowd. Thinks better of it to dive for that ball.
It's a full house here at Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Stadium. The home of the Manly Wheel Eagles, hosting this year's national finals. Johnny Brown, skip past Ruiz, wheels it in, shot clock running down. He goes glass.
Johnny Ruiz is a really strong scorer for the Roller Hawks. He plays pretty low in his chair, but he is actually very consistent, especially in those outside shots.
Brown takes a spill in the background. Jonty, Hasso draws some contact. Winces that he was unable to make the shot. Jordi Ruiz with his first foul. In fact, it was not a shooting foul. Ball with the Salties from the baseline. Hasso with that one extended arm and hand. Back to Yannick Blair. He's left unguarded. His shot bobbles out. Ruiz the rebound. Johnny Brown in rhythm.
It's not too much of a concern yet, but we should note that Ruiz had 4 fouls in the last game that these two teams played against each other, so you don't want him getting into foul trouble.
There's Hasso again. Johnny Brown powerless to do much about that. The perfect pass, caught at the apex and finished. Ruiz looks at three. That's short. Klein steaming in there for the rebound. Had it poked away. Roller Hawks coach Brett Stibners offering some instruction there. Balls into Ruiz. Shot clock it rolls down under 10. Knowles, Johnny Brown. Layup, Hannah Dodd. Beautiful screen and roll play. Hasso, no look. Fantastic finish. Yannick Blair.
It's really important that Yannick can finish a shot like that. The pressure's come onto Hasso pretty early. They know to pick him up now, so they'll have to look for other scoring options. Usually that would be Jalen Brown. Speaking of which, picks up a foul.
And blocking foul there. Referee Tomasic identifies. Still the early stages, feeling things out, both teams. 4 minutes in.
And both teams like to get an idea of what the referees are going to call, what they're not going to call. They like to play a little bit of contact and kind of get in the head of each team. So good to know what they're going to call for the rest of the game.
Johnny Brown, the longest of twos. A wheel on the line there. Tom O'Neill-Thorne signals thumbs up. Some sort of play. Brown cuts middle. Jalen Brown this time. Find the rebound. Knowles surveying the floor. Skip past Johnny Brown in rhythm. Rolls into that three. Hannah Dodd, offensive glass. Gets the rebound. Knowles again. Thinks better than the screen. Launches his own three. O'Neill-Thorne instinctively gets hold of the rebound and launches the pass. Hasso. Some of the spectators might have flinched there for a second.
I think an arm went up to protect that kid.
As you can see again, plenty going on in the backcourt, trying to deny players access.
Getting a little bit too focused on playing the 2-on-2 and forgot that they need to bring in the ball.
The Roller Hawks in the white strip with the ball. Ruiz having hold of that, finds Knowles, double teamed down on the base, swings it across. Johnny Brown, shot rolls in and out. Hasso the rebound. O'Neill Thorne calls Jalen Brown across, flips the pass up over his head. Jalen Brown stopped by Hannah Dodd, leans back, can't make it go. Coach Stibner's encouraging Tristan Knowles to go to the left-hand side of the floor. Finds a bank shot that looked like it was going to drop, but didn't. O'Neill Thorne's off, racing now. Looked like a little bit of contact. There's Hasso.
You almost don't need to finish the sentence.
He's just a towering figure in there, and his stability is amazing. Ruiz to Knowles, Klein with the screen. O'Neill Thorne scratching for the ball. Ruiz looks at a free throw line jumper. Gesture to try and encourage himself that that's a shot that he can make. Jalen Brown wheels away from the contact, goes back to the long arms of Hasso. Contact and the basket.
It's interesting. I like the way that the Roller Hawks have been playing that defense, trying to pack the back in the key, just so that Hasso can't get into that position. But Alex Blackmore finding a little way in, and Hasso just following him behind. Perfect seal.
Right, we've got a timeout. The Salties, head coach Tracy York, vastly experienced with NBL, WNBL experience. Up in Darwin this year. She's decided to have a chat about things. Roller Hawks been fairly happy with how they've started this game, given how they finished the last one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be proud of, especially on their offensive end. The Salties choosing to play a little bit more of a safe defense, playing Hasso sitting in the center and kind of packing the key so that someone like Jonty Brown, Sean Russell can't get inside the key and take easy points. But they've the Roller Hawks have managed to find outside shots that they're really comfortable with. Jordy Ruiz finding his distance pretty quickly in this game. We had seen previously in the other game that they've played this weekend, Jordy Ruiz was struggling to find that line and really didn't collect the points that he would usually be collecting throughout the season. So good to see that he's kind of back into that, and he'll be a shooting threat throughout this game.
Yeah, even somebody with his vast playing experience all around the world, it's sort of comforting in a way to see that he did struggle in the previous game, and almost a little bit of self-doubt and a lot of gesturing that he was unable to make seemingly simple shots for him. He's a little frustrated. He's been subbed out in that timeout. Luke Popel coming onto the floor.
We do have to confirm that he is actually human. He can miss shots, and although I don't think we've been able to confirm that of Hasso yet. He hasn't missed enough shots for me to be convinced that he is still human.
And it's Hasso in 35. We find at the free throw line, just aligning himself or aligning his chair there.
Hey, get boards here.
Gets the friendly roll off the back of the rim. And in. Margin at 3 for the Roller Hawks. The first quarter of the gold medal game. The National Wheelchair Basketball League. Knowles shoots, gets his own rebound. Looks at Klein, skip to Johnny Brown. Probably just not enough elevation on that pass. Jalen Brown got a finger on it, which made it impossible for Johnny Brown to do anything but touch it out of bounds.
The difficult thing for the Roller Hawks is it looks like every time one of their players finds their range and it starts to get comfortable, a couple others start to fall off. I'm interested in Knowles. He's a really good shooter, has been for years, but not being able to find his line yet.
Tom O'Neill Thorne has allowed a relatively simple path into the keyway. He banks home 2. Dodd across to Popel. He drifts across the floor. Knowles looking to use the screen from Klein. Skips it across. Johnny Brown. It's just a fraction off the long arms of Hasso with the rebound. Jalen Brown going. Johnny Brown a little late to pick him up. Finds him now. Hasso again. That shot's off. Jalen Brown appears with the putback.
And finally, Jalen Brown's been a little bit quiet across this weekend. That's there's a reason that he was one of the highest scorers in the league, and I think actually the highest scorer throughout the season. So we'd be looking at him to get a few more points here.
Yeah, averaged a little over 30 a game. Teams have been packing it in a little bit against him in the finals, encouraging him to shoot from distance. Hasso with a big contested rebound. Blair off to Tom O'Neill-Thorne. He finds that man, Jalen Brown. Pivots around to face the basket. Hasso comes steaming through. Makes the basket, but it's going to be waved off. The referee's just conferring there. The initial signal was an offensive foul. Basket disappears.
It's perfect positioning from Hannah Dodd. As we said, she's just come off playing in the gold medal game. Didn't manage to get up with the Sydney Uni Lions, but she averages, I think, 40 minutes every game throughout the regular season. She plays in both teams and has been very strong in both.
Yeah, her game IQ is second to none. You really have to watch closely to see the small, in inverted commas, contributions she makes to free players up, to get into gaps. Always seems to be moving the right way. Anyway, Popel back on the perimeter using a screen from Jonty Brown. Looks at three. Long rebound there. Comes back to Luke Popel. He goes middle. Jonty Brown avoids the swarming defense of Tom O'Neill-Thorne. Kicks to the corner. Tristan Knowles can't find his range yet. Hasso pushing. Tom O'Neill-Thorne. Knowles trying to stop Hasso there, which leaves O'Neill-Thorne open. The Salties in front by 3.
And it's the consistent question against the Salties. Who do you defend? Who do you stop from shooting? As soon as Hasso goes a little bit quiet, you find Tom O'Neill-Thorne, Jalen Brown picking up that slack, and it's a continuous little dance to find who you can defend.
Jonty Brown misses not once but twice, and then has fouled Jalen Brown in the backcourt. Somewhat of a frustration foul there. Sean Russell, the Roller Hawks captain, onto the floor for the first time. Just one possession remaining in this first quarter. Such a bright start by the Roller Hawks. They've just gone a little cold. Tom O'Neill-Thorne happy to sit back and watch the clock tick down, looking at the last shot. Fakes a three, drives baseline, runs into some traffic. Blair's shot's off. Sean Russell. Luke Popel is not going to get to that one, I don't think. No, almost takes one of our cameramen out. He stays upright. And that's quarter time. Salties, it's almost exactly the same as the first semi-final they played here on Friday. To think back to when it was that the Roller Hawks started brightly and then just fell into a scoring funk.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's almost a repeat of what we've already seen. The Salties just stay so consistent. They don't necessarily look to go on fast runs and rack up points very, very quickly, but they stay consistent in their shots. They know where they're shooting from. They know just how many shooting threats they have. I mean, we talk about Hasso a lot from that previous game. But again, Jalen Brown is the shooting threat with 30 points averaging a game. And obviously a couple other players that can support him as well. So the Roller Hawks are really looking for an option to kind of shut down that offense on the side of the Salties and then find a position where they can shoot from. I mean, they're kind of getting in the right positions. They're taking consistent shots, and none of them are seeming to drop, except for a couple for Jordy Ruiz. Jonty Brown got a couple, but is getting a little bit annoyed and frustrated by the contact that's coming in. Obviously, the Salties are pretty aggressive. They play physical. Husso and Jalen Brown are both pretty big and pretty tough. So the Roller Hawks will need to find somewhere where they can just stop for a second, get some shots. Probably looking at outside shots, knowing the style of defense that the Salties are packing in at the moment. And kind of, if they can force those outside shots and be comfortable with them, they might start to drag that defense out and then look for those layups inside.
Right, yeah, it does seem that experience has come to the fore this weekend. Husso and Tom O'Neill-Thorne, compared to Jalen Brown, vastly experienced in the game, and their impact has increased as the level of the games has gone up. Anyway, Roller Hawks to start this second quarter. We're here from the Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Stadium, Narrabeen in Sydney. They've hosted the entire weekend. This is the ultimate game, gold medal contest. National Wheelchair Basketball League as the Roller Hawks turn it over. Johnny Brown busy remonstrating. Didn't see Jalen Brown behind him. Came out of his chair. He's back now. Tom O'Neill-Thorne calling out a play. But he's left wide open and rolls into a three.
I think they were looking for a Horn-style play and almost didn't even need it, the three being so comfortable for him.
Knowles. Johnny Brown. Knowles manages to get it up. Husso out there trying to add a second defender. Jalen Brown rushes out on Johnny Brown. Popel steps back and makes a calming two.
I think that's exactly what they need. They need that just safe shot, get some points.
But anyway, Luke Popel answers with a two. Nice weak side cut, catch, and uses the glass. And a dodge there this time. It's the lob pass to Husso. His shot's long. A sea of hands there. Trying to contest that. Knowles has denied the quick transition exit. Husso reaches a handout. Trying to plead with the official that Tristan Knowles was using his elbow. But it's a bit of a comical pleading, I might suggest.
I think they were pretty lucky, the Roller Hawks, not to get an 8-second violation there right as the foul came in. That was when it ticked down to 16.
As the Salties captain, Clarence McCarthy-Grogan, makes his first entrance for the afternoon. The early stage of this second quarter. He's in number one. Blackmore defending the ball there. Popel, two more.
Luke Popel again in the previous game was playing this kind of role, just setting the pace, slowing things down, being a consistent shot. Now the Roller Hawks can look to build something towards a lead.
O'Neill-Thorne short with that one. Johnny Brown the rebound. Knowles checks the seams, as he always does. On the catch, Popel looks at three. That was a heat check. Jalen Brown the rebound. McCarthy-Grogan now. Down the left side of the floor. He's left wide open. Knowles hedging there. Jalen Brown from just beyond the free throw line. Can't get it to go. But O'Neill-Thorne's there for the rebound. Brown, McCarthy-Grogan drives middle. Popel picks him up. Snap pass. Sails into the crowd.
It's a pretty hard pass to make back, especially when I think he was looking forward a little bit too much and not expecting it to be kicked all the way back out to the three.
That Salties fan in the orange shirt did a good job to reel that in.
That being Jalen Brown's mum.
Knowles still content to play the the playmaker at the moment. Can't get that to go. Dodd, rebound to Johnny Brown. He's fouled. Still looks frustrated, but he's getting into all the right spots. It's Jalen Brown's second personal foul. And that's going to cause Tracy York to call a timeout. So, the Roller Hawks, well, it looked like it was slipping away quite quickly there, but they've managed to rebalance.
Yeah, I think the calming presence of Luke Kopel, a very safe shooter. He's not always the kind of fantastic and energetic shooter, but he's just consistent. He'll stay there. He'll get those points and put the Roller Hawks back in a position where they can kind of calm down. I spoke to a couple of other players from the Roller Hawks before this game, just asking kind of what their vibe was for this game, what they were looking for, and it was very much keep cool head, keep level-headed, and kind of stay calm through the game. They know that they got a little bit heated on Friday when they had this clash last time, and knowing that the best way that they can play is just to stay calm, just stay consistent. They know that they've got the ability to beat this team. They have beat this team once earlier in this season, so they know that it's within their strength, and yeah, just get the job done.
So looking across the court, it looks like the lineups are coming back on in the same fashion. You can see a couple of the Sydney Blues girls dancing to the music on the far side of the floor. Of course, they were comfortable winners of their grand final just prior to this game over the Sydney University Lions. As Johnny Brown makes the first. Might be a good karma for him. The Roller Hawks choosing not to line up anybody.
It's a similar thing that they did at the very start in the tap. They all chose to be on the defensive side, assuming that the Salties would win the tap. So certainly it's been a distinctive and decisive choice.
Hannah Dodd charged with defending Tom O'Neill-Thorne. Now it's Jalen Brown she switched on to. Ball goes to McCarthy Grogan. It's a flat three that hits the glass and goes in. That's an extraordinarily difficult shot in terms of physics. Knowles with some English of his own off the glass. Another tough angle.
And that's really what you want to see. Tristan Knowles kind of getting back into his rhythm, getting back into his groove. He's a very scary, consistent shooter when he starts getting a few.
O'Neill-Thorne's comfortable using that head fake at every opportunity on the threes. Jalen Brown tries a three, struggled with that shot this weekend, manages to get his own offensive rebound. McCarthy Grogan surveys the floor. Jalen Brown, long two. That's off. Blackmore in there. This potentially is a third foul for Jalen Brown. It is. He's aware of that and he just rolls straight off the floor to the bench.
I think he knows the situation that he's put himself in. It's very unfortunate. That's a pretty hard call to make with both players coming flying towards the ball, but I think Jalen Brown just coming in a little bit late.
Anyway, an able substitute in Hasso. He's found something to laugh about down there, anchoring the defense. He always seems to be on the half-full side of things. Knowles, shot fake, guarded by O'Neill-Thorne. They know each other so well in the national team program. Blair, it's closed out hard. Knowles, two. Roll the Hawks with their beak back in front.
And again, it's that outside shooting that Hasso sitting in the center of the key. You know that you're not going to be able to set someone up inside the paint. So getting comfortable outside shots.
O'Neill-Thorne, three more. Hasso there with the screen he didn't really need to use, but the Roller Hawks hedged a little too conservatively. Johnny Brown thinking no-look pass, goes the hook pass to Popel. He's guarded by O'Neill-Thorne, who's picked him up now. Officials are going to stop the game temporarily. There's 5 seconds on the 24-second shot clock remaining. There was a chair issue there, potentially.
I think there were a couple of things. I think it was Tristan Knowles coming out of the chair. And even though he managed to get himself up by the time the call was made, the play will stop just to make sure the players are safe.
Knowles missed that one on the turn, really never got squared up at all to the basket. The Roller Hawks will make a couple of subs. Johnny Brown and Klein come to the bench. Ruiz back, along with Stephen Elliott, who will inevitably pick up Hasso. He's the Hawks' designated defender in 10 with the beard. The flowing beard, I should say. O'Neill Thorne from a mile outside. Launches, it's short. Popel finishes up with the rebound. Knowles probes down the left, draws a double team. Just looking where's the open man. Popel, Ruiz, he's got 1.5 defenders, shot clock running down. Popel's going to have to launch something. Instead it's deflected off his chair out of bounds.
That's really smart, kind of aggressive defense from the Salties, playing very high, forcing those potentially 3 attempts. Obviously, we know Luke Popel's a very consistent outside shooter, but the threes are always going to be a risky play.
There's a lot of dodgem cars going on in the back between chairs. There's only, it's now maybe a 3-on-2 fast break for the Salties. O'Neill Thorne, no look. McCarthy Grogan, back to O'Neill Thorne. Makes it.
There's a reason that Tom O'Neill Thorne has been in the system for so long now. He came in as junior and has been kind of carving up like that ever since.
There's a risky pass, lots of hands in that passing lane. Knowles has turned it over. O'Neill Thorne now. At a numerical disadvantage, although his player's flooding forward now. McCarthy Grogan joins him, looks at 3. It's in and out. Ruiz the rebound. He looks to push. Rolls into a 3. That's very timely. Margin back to 1. Fantastic aerial skip pass there from McCarthy Grogan. O'Neill Thorne finds his way down into the paint. His thinking pass draws some contact very cleverly from Hannah Dodd. Almost pinned Dodd on the wheel of his chair there. Coach Stibness asking Hannah Dodd how she's going. I can't imagine she'd be anything but tired after playing all 40 minutes in the women's game. But she is used to doing that.
And she's taken a couple pretty hard falls in the games across the weekend as well. So I imagine just checking on that shoulder that she has had taped up across the weekend.
Which has popped out a couple of times. We've seen her either put it back in herself or have somebody assist. Popel goes glass. Hasso screaming some sort of instruction to his team about how that coverage should have gone. Now we've got an offensive foul. Stephen Elliott has a habit of drawing those. He's extraordinarily persistent.
Yeah, I really like the substitution, putting Steve Elliott on. He's been tasked with picking up Hasso, but also he just creates havoc. He's so fast, so agile. He's not necessarily the shooter that you would expect of someone in his position, but he just creates so much chaos on the court.
Popel mishandles that one and then commits the foul. No team foul trouble for the team at this stage. Just the second for the Roller Hawks. The Salties are in the bonus. Next foul for them. O'Neill Thorne weaving right and left, draws a couple of switches. McCarthy Grogan with that flat anchor. It's a patented shot. I don't know anybody else that could make something with that lack of elevation. Knowles gets past Blair. Blackmore comes. Hasso's there as well. Tries to find Ruiz cutting. Blair's leaked out. McCarthy Grogan's pass finds him. finger roll short. Just seemed to get out of rhythm with his chair there. Popel drives, cut off by McCarthy Grogan. No look bounce pass to Knowles. Back to Ruiz. He looks back to Knowles. Tries to find Popel, but the ball is deflected. McCarthy Grogan indicates that he touched it. 7 seconds available for the Rollerhawks to shoot. Ball into Ruiz. He's aware of that. Can't make that go. Manages to squeeze a pass out to O'Neill Thorne. Thought about the three again. Finds McCarthy Grogan. Ruiz is awake to his three-point expertise. Blair pivots round. Shot clock dribbles down all the way.
I think, again, that's Steve Elliott really controlling Hasso, sitting almost at the three-point line and absolutely not letting him get anywhere. And I think the Salties waited a little too long, hoping that he would be able to get free and get inside, rather than creating something somewhere else.
Yeah, the ball was skipping from side to side, but no touches in the paint, which normally Hasso can facilitate. Knowles pins O'Neill Thorne in, maybe looking for some contact. Elliott makes the layup.
That was a really smart decision, even just coming from Ruiz. He saw exactly what was going to be able to happen. As soon as he made that pass to Knowles, they had to cover him because he would have been able to push in, and that sets Steve Elliott up.
Elliott got back picked there and wasn't able to help on Hasso. The Rollerhawks can hold for the last shot of the quarter now. It's a three that's gone astray, and it looks like there's 0.05 seconds on the clock. I don't know how they're going to manufacture something here. Knowles does manage to get a shot up, but it's astray, and so at halftime we have the Salties in a familiar position, but only leading by 3.
Yeah, it's a much better showing from the Rollerhawks in this game. Just getting a few more consistent shots, a few shots coming through people other than Luke Popel. Obviously, he's been a very consistent shooter, but they're currently sitting at 46%. And 56% from the 2-point. Darwin Salties sitting at 50%, 54% from the 2-point. So they've hit a few more threes and been a little bit more comfortable from that outside position. But also just the points inside the paint with Hasso going early in the first quarter. It's been a pretty strong thing.
Okay, well, there's some presentations going on here. We'll be back shortly before the start of the second half. Calling out a play, but he's left wide open. Brown. Popel steps back, makes defending the ball there. Popel, 2 more. God charged with defending Tom O'Neill Thorne. Now it's Jalen Brown. She's switched on to. Ball goes to McCarthy Grogan. It's a flat 3 that hits the glass and goes. Knowles with some Blair. Closed out hard. Knowles, 2.
Inside the paint, so getting comfortable outside shots.
O'Neill Thorne, 3 more. It's now maybe a 3-on-2 fast break for the Salties. O'Neill Thorne, no look. McCarthy Grogan, back to O'Neill Thorne. Makes it. He looks to push. Rolls into a 3. Somebody assist. Popel goes glass. O'Neill Thorne weaving right and left. Draws a couple of switches. McCarthy Grogan with that flat anchor. O'Neill Thorne in. Maybe looking for some contact. Elliott makes the layup.
Had to cover him because he would have been able to push in. And that sets Steve Elliott up.
So Elliott got back picked there and wasn't.
minutes and too much time on the court, especially in games like this. So it makes sense that the core group of the Salties is very strong and very consistently gets up there and gets rewarded for it, versus something like the Rollerhawks, where they're going to play every person on that team. They have a bench that they can rotate pretty comfortably. Obviously, they have a couple of players that they rely on a little bit more, but they know that they can rotate through. And I suspect we'll see that a little bit more towards the second half. I'm thinking Jared Emini potentially coming in and getting a couple minutes, just being as a relief for someone like Hannah Dodd. We know at this point in the weekend she's got to be feeling pretty tired, so good to see that they have that depth in that rotation.
Yeah, I saw Hannah sucking on one of the sports gels there at half time. A little tired, but she is, as they used to talk about, the definition of relentless persistence. She just keeps turning up.
And I think that's what they teach in the Rollerhawks all the way through. I mean, I think you see it in a couple players as well. Obviously, Tristan Knowles he's a veteran of the game at this point, and just has that consistency. He'll show that he's tired 30 seconds in, and then not show it again for the next 30 minutes. So he puts a lot of energy on the court and gets rewards for it.
Okay, when we just get the clock calibrated to 10 minutes, we've got 2 10-minute quarters to go to decide the winner of this year's the 2025 National Wheelchair Basketball League, brought to you by the Beluga Foundation, the fantastic people at Wheelchair Basketball Australia who've taken over the running of both the national leagues since 2024. O'Neill Thorne, no-look pass. Jalen Brown, baseline for the Salties. Blair rolls middle. Tristan Knowles with the clever block from behind.
And he was pretty happy with that one, kind of screaming out. Obviously, he's played with Yannick Blair a lot throughout the years, so they're pretty friendly with each other.
Both part of the Australian National Men's Program. The Rollers, Tom O'Neill Thorne, shot clock running down, had to shoot that one. Went glass and it went in. Ruiz finds a passing lane to Knowles. Hasso drapes his hand across Knowles. He's questioning how many fouls he's got. We can tell him it's 3.
And that's a position that he got into, I think, in the other game as well. Not a position that he wants to be in, considering how strong he is for this defensive side.
Of course, the Mexican, he being a Mexican international, Ruiz's shot, the Spanish international, is short. He claps his hands in frustration as he gets back on transition D. O'Neill Thorne coming down again. Nobody's going to guard him. It's risky.
You can't leave him open out there. We know that he's going to shoot from further and further back, so you've got to be jumping on that every day.
Surely just some confusion there amongst the Rollerhawks. Ball finds its way to Popel, back to Ruiz. He's left wide open at the free throw line. Seemed a little off balance when he released that. And it's a stray. O'Neill Thorne again. He's wide open. This is not good. And he lets out a howl of delight. There was some communication amongst the Rollerhawks there, but nobody seemed to do what the other was saying.
Yeah, I think they just got a little bit confused between what they were saying, what the coach was saying, and all the noise. Obviously, there's a lot of noise coming in from the crowd as well. It's a really good atmosphere coming through here, but potentially a little bit confusing.
Margins exploded out to 11. Ruiz has his shot blocked. O'Neill Thorne pushing. Blair. Ruiz tries to shut him down. Hasso makes himself available. Touch pass. O'Neill Thorne just paused for a beat. Lovely underhand finger roll from Knowles, under control. Jalen Brown has been relatively quiet by his lofty standards. Drives baselines, a lot of contact. Referee Hay has assessed a foul on Jonty Brown, his second. No particular trouble at the moment. He looks across at Coach Stibners and acknowledges it was his foul, that he knows he has 2. Salties running a stacked formation on this side of the floor. Foul from Knowles. That was an emergency foul. Had to be made.
That's one of those fouls that that you would show to newer players, saying if you're going to commit a foul, commit it like this. Make sure that they're not going to be able to score through that. It was a pretty hard hand that came across.
Jalen Brown will head to the line. Chance for him to get some points without any pressure, but first one's long. He shakes it off, shimmies his shoulders, and makes the second. The margin at 10 in favour of the Darwin Salties, defending champions in the National Wheelchair Basketball League. Knowles drives middle, plenty of traffic. Blair, long arm, manages to pick that one up. Ruiz slaps it aggressively away. Gets a little bit of retaliation from Hasso. Plenty of byplay going on here in the front court. Called out of play. O'Neill Thorne finds a lane, dumps to Blair. His layup's good.
That was a beautiful little play coming in from three different players. Hasso calling out for Tom O'Neill Thorne to push down the lane, but actually Yannick Blair already being there and being kind of the decoy, ready to take those points.
Ruiz to Popel. A desperation hand comes out. The ball will stay with the Roller Hawks. 14 seconds the shot clock resets to. Ruiz skips it across court to Popel. He gets in the lane. The hand of Hasso is visible. Ruiz is short. O'Neill Thorne off and running. Knowles trying to stop him. Blair seemingly has a layup. Thinks better of it. Flicks it back to O'Neill Thorne. He goes elevator pass. They manage to poke it away from Hasso. Roller Hawks off and running. Knowles just surveying what's happening there. The defense emerging in front of me. He goes past fake, tries to duck through, finds Ruiz. He makes the layup, but the 3-second call from the official preceded that shot. There'll be no score. Stephen Elliott back onto the floor, and he will have one thing in mind, and he goes straight to Hasso. Tries to lock him in the backcourt as Hasso's trying to lock Ruiz in the backcourt. In the meantime, Tom O'Neill Thorne's gone through. Blackmore, he maybe overthought that one as he was switching hands to go the underhand reverse. The ball just bobbled out of his hands. Need to get this one across, and they will not within 8 seconds.
I think the shot clock may not have started.
Okay, so the referee has decided that because the shot clock didn't start, that potentially could have influenced the decision making of the Roller Hawks. She's going to take the ball back to the baseline, which is the logical thing to do. Somewhat of a reprieve potentially for the Roller Hawks there, because they were in some trouble. Ruiz left open, looks at three, does everything but go in. Hasso a mile up out of his chair there. Coach Stibners is concerned about that and appealing to the official. Can you provide any context on that concern of Coach Stibners?
I think he was expecting someone to have covered Jalen Brown and been down, waiting for that leak out to happen, and he just managed to get away with it. And again, it almost looks like he's in the same kind of position, but I think the pass isn't going to be able to make it in time.
Forces the 3-second count. It's hard to know. Coach Stibners has got a lot of things he's He's a very animated lead man.
He's always been an animated coach, and before that, always been a very animated player.
He's got the calming influence of Nick Taylor there on the bench as an assistant, and the other assistant's the birthday boy, Reece Brown, having an anniversary today. As there's a nasty fall, Tristan Knowles trying to get through a non-existent gap. Certainly playing hard but fair. He gets over to Jalen Brown, who took a tumble as well, and with a hand slap. Youngster Alex Blackmore was jammed in the middle of that. I think he wasn't sure if he'd done some damage. Dodd picks up O'Neill Thorne. Ruiz takes the switch. O'Neill Thorne drives baseline, cut off. Blair has to rush that shot, can't get it to go. Ruiz the rebound. He's jammed in the backcourt. Knowles has Hasso trailing him. Manages to get down and get just the right amount of spin on that to see it go through. Margin at 10. The Roller Hawks grimly hanging on here. Third quarter. I think that was a pass from Tom O'Neill Thorne. The basket got in the road, it bounced up and bounced in.
I think he surprised himself with that. He almost apologised to his team, not expecting that to go anywhere near.
Doesn't matter how, only matters what. Skip pass to Popel. Nice head fake. He's got the long hand of Hasso. I think caught a bit of Luke Popel's eye potentially there, or eyelid. In whatever way, it's Hasso's fourth foul. As we sit with 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. That's seemingly significant. He'll be off for a stretch, I'd imagine. Knowles has his pass poked away. Jalen Brown's there. He's so quick in the chair. O'Neill Thorne running a 2-on-1 back to Brown. He finishes. That'll cause a timeout. Margin is again ballooned quickly out to 14.
And Jordi Ruiz just acting out a little bit there, slamming the ball on the ground, and he'll collect a technical foul. I think that attitude just being a little bit too much and showing a little bit too much.
That's not going to help his cause. It's his third personal foul, but it will result in a free throw, which is the last thing the Roller Hawks need at this stage.
Yeah, and also putting the Roller Hawks at 4 fouls at this point. Still almost 4 minutes left in this quarter. It's not a position that they want to put the Salties in, where they're getting pretty comfortable, not only with their shooting but also just with rattling the Roller Hawks. We spoke about earlier how their strategy was to keep cool, keep calm, keep collected, and looks like it might be a little bit shaken now.
Yeah, it's a tough ask against the team that's only lost one. There's a reason they've only lost one game all season. That was to the Roller Hawks up in Darwin, one of their 3-game season series. They just come at you in waves, and even with Hasso on the bench now with 4 fouls, there's still 3 members of the All-Star 5 on the floor. One of whom, Tom O'Neill Thorne, will take the free throw for the technical foul. It was assessed on Jordi Ruiz. He makes that, and play will continue with an inbound, as it would have after the basket.
Again, that is Hasso sitting on 4 fouls, Jalen Brown sitting on 3 fouls, so the Salties not getting in too much foul trouble as a team, but collecting a few too many on plays that are pretty critical for their play.
Knowles drifts baseline, looks. His shot's a little long. Jalen Brown releasing quickly. Gets up on one wheel, does at least a 540. Ball back to McCarthy Grogan. Blair cuts baseline. the pressure from Ruiz from behind. He did expertly well not to foul. Managed to put that shot off. Dodd kicks ahead to Elliott. He looks, finds Knowles. Just where are the points going to come from the Roller Hawks at the moment? Back to Popel. Uses Elliott's screen. Shot clock's running down, but he manages to get something up. McCarthy Grogan can't get it. Ruiz assessed with the foul. That's going to be his fourth. The complications continue for the Roller Hawks.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an annoying position for the Roller Hawks to be in. Jordi Ruiz not really having the game that you'd expect of him today. He started pretty strong with a few scores coming through, but just getting a little bit too much attitude and a little bit unfocused here.
He'll head to the bench along with Stephen Elliott, Tom Klein and Jonty Brown coming in. Meanwhile, Jalen Brown, who was fouled, will shoot the 2 free throws. Makes the first. He's found something humorous to laugh about. A little bit of banter with the Roller Hawks head coach. It's a small world in wheelchair basketball. Everybody who are in these national team and national league programs know each other pretty well. Skip pass. Finds its way into Klein. Calmly converts. It's the sort of production they need from some areas outside the primary scoring avenues. O'Neill Thorne looks at another 3. That's off. Knowles the rebound. Just a couple of minutes remaining in this crucial third quarter. Guarded by Blackmore. He's done a fantastic job. You really have to watch closely to see his contribution. Klein rolls inside, misses the point-blank layup. Almost had too much time. McCarthy Grogan. O'Neill Thorne, finger roll. Margin 17.
And Hannah Dodd coming down the floor looking pretty tired at this point. I think there might need to be a substitution coming through for her at some point in this game.
It's really a running race both ways at the moment. As Luke Popel makes a layup of a lovely pass from Tristan Knowles. Tom O'Neill Thorne rolls from about 5 metres back outside the 3-point line into that 3-point shot. Carthy Grogan looks, thinks better of it. O'Neill Thorne, skip past Jalen Brown. He looks at one that he can make. Inside the last minute, skip past Knowles. Back to Popel, nice head fake, draws the closeout from Jalen Brown. Skip pass to Jonty Brown. Excellent control and finish.
And that's exactly what we're looking for the Roller Hawks. Again, with that bench rotation, getting players in that can consistently play up to those roles that other players have been in. They're really not losing anything from putting in different players.
Jalen Brown finding a bit of rhythm there and looking decidedly more comfortable with that long mid-range shot. Knowles hotly defended. Popel. The shot short. Dodd, Knowles, back to Popel. On the buzzer. It's off. And really not a fantastic third quarter from the Salties. Has seen them just bound away as they did in the semi-final.
Yeah, absolutely. They've looked extremely strong here and really haven't found any competition to come answer their shooting percentage. However, the Roller Hawks really just also not finding their kind of running line. They're doing everything they kind of can on that defensive end, but the Salties just happy to shoot outside, happy to shoot threes, and they're making them consistently. Jaylen Brown kind of finding his rhythm, as you said, and finding those outside again. That the Rollerhawks are going to be in a position where they're almost going to have to play up, potentially play a press, and look to not play a traditional defense, purely for the fact that they know that if they're within the three-point line, the Salties are going to start hitting shots.
Yeah, it's quite a complex a problem to try and solve. Once the Salties are hitting from the perimeter, as Tom O'Neill-Thorne again, as he did in the semi-finals, started tilting the balance by making multiple perimeter shots, which forces an extension of a defense that was thinking about packing it in. And then you've got the colossus that is Hasso in the middle, who's constantly drawing attention there. It's a really difficult puzzle to resolve, isn't it?
Yeah, and the Rollerhawks haven't been able to answer in a similar fashion. I mean, they're sitting 1 from 12 at the three-point line, as opposed to 5 from 12 on the side of the Salties, and also the Salties sitting at 60% inside the three-point line, as opposed to 50% from the Rollerhawks, which both really good percentages, but again, the Salties just looking that little bit more refined, that little bit more collected, and they really haven't seemed to lose control. They haven't gotten too overreacty. Hasso collecting a few fouls and not being too happy with the position that he's in. But the Rollerhawks just being a little bit aggressive, a little bit unkept, and potentially that's what they need to pull in here. There's still 17 points. That's not insurmountable in the last quarter. So see what they can do.
Ruiz back on the floor with his 4 fouls. Finds Johnny Brown. His first shot's off. McCarthy Grogan the rebound for Darwin. It's the Darwin Salties looking to go back-to-back in the National Wheelchair Basketball League. Jaylen Brown feeling full of confidence. Launches a 3, which is a fair way off. Got a dry smile on his face. Popel drives middle. Flick pass. Johnny Brown, skip pass to Popel. He shoots over the closeout hand of Jaylen Brown. McCarthy Grogan to O'Neill-Thorne. That's out of bounds, but the referee's found a foul. I think he was going to let that go until the ball had sailed out of bounds, and it was the contact that caused that wayward pass.
Yeah, some referees like to play that advantage a little bit more. Yeah, just that pass going pretty wayward. Almost collecting Brett Stibner's.
McCarthy Grogan inbounds. Tom O'Neill-Thorne gives the familiar basketball signal for horns. Instead he goes down to the baseline to Jaylen Brown, who shoots an air ball. He looks quizzically at the referee. Knowles. Popel forced to come around with the left hand. Can't get it to go. Sort of the wrong spin on that. O'Neill-Thorne, Brown. He leans back, almost travelling too fast to make that, but somehow does. We've got Jonty Brown's taking a spill in the middle of the floor. Yannick Blair knows him well as Tom O'Neill-Thorne, exchanging a few jokes. You could never say this is anything but hotly competitive, but there's a nice rapport when time allows between players. Professional respect. Tristan Knowles looks at 3. Hasn't been able to make that since half-time. Jaylen Brown strolls in. Makes the underhand layup. Barely changing speed.
His team setting that one up. Yannick Blair pretty much herding the defense off that entire time.
Knowles uses the Dodd screen, the Johnny Brown screen, skips it back to Popel. Blackmore doing superbly there. He couldn't see the ball, but he knew that pass was in mid-air and closed out to make it almost impossible for Luke Popel to catch that without fouling or transgressing. McCarthy Grogan drives middle. Makes another one. He's had a superb shooting afternoon.
It's almost an unstoppable force on the side of the Salties at this point. So the Rollhawks just can't find anything to kind of stop that bleeding.
Knowles misses a three. Popel reels in the rebound, looks at his own three. That's short. McCarthy Grogan the rebound, kicks ahead. Knowles in a race with O'Neill Thorne. Behind the back pass. Jalen Brown. Some really pretty stuff.
This is exactly what I've wanted to see from this team. Get into a comfortable position where they're ahead in the score, and then they can have a little bit more fun with these passes. And credit to them, they're making those passes work and making those fast plays look effortless.
O'Neill Thorne shoots the passing lane, another steal. Knowles left in an unenviable position with a numerical disadvantage, and that's going to be another timeout for the Roller Hawks. We've seen this slip away. It's almost happened by magic.
Yeah, it's kind of blink and the score keeps going up. The Salties just finding a few quick passages of play there, getting their score up, and the Rollerhawks not being able to find anything. They've taken a lot of outside shots, a lot of threes that are just consistently not going in, and it almost looks like they're not willing to change up from that position. They're expecting those threes to go in. They know that they've hit them. They've been able to hit them consistently throughout the long season. But just this weekend, they haven't been able to find those outside shots. And actually, we'll see. I was about to say they might look at putting Sean Russell in, and that will be a substitution that they'll make just here, just to look at something inside and try and get your man inside who can sit in the paint, get easy points, and kind of try to stop the bleeding here.
Yeah, Tristan Knowles will take a seat, which is unusual in itself. Or take a seat, he will head to the bench. Yeah, the Salties have shown today that once they get off the leash, they are almost impossible to stop. A fantastic mix of complementary players and sharp scoring points. Ball to Russell. His shot's a little long. Ruiz just locked up there, couldn't get after the rebound. The ball will revert to Darwin. McCarthy Grogan to O'Neill Thorne, who pins Russell to make sure he can make that catch. Draws some contact, shoots on the turn, falls out to the ground and makes the shot.
Sean Russell immediately going over and just making sure that he's okay. Just checking in. It was a pretty hard fall. It wasn't at too much speed, but certainly come down with a bit of weight.
They'll need to mop up some perspiration on the floor there. Yeah, Tom O'Neill Thorne has been pretty special this weekend, and he's certainly anybody who might have wondered how and why he was the MVP and hadn't watched too much of the league this year has got a first-hand demonstration. He's been a scoring juggernaut. Hannah Dodd makes her way to the bench, somewhere she hasn't been pretty much all weekend.
Finally getting a well-earned break. She's been really consistent both in the women's and in this National League.
Colin Smith onto the floor for the Roller Hawks in number 3 for his first action. Luke Popper looks at a long three. Russell tries to contest the rebound, can't do so. Jalen Brown to McCarthy Grogan. Skips it back to Jalen Brown, has to scurry to stop it going past halfway. Stephen Elliott has the job on him at the moment with no Hasso on the floor. Blackmore draws some contact. Pops over backwards. Manages to get himself up with ease. He's a low maintenance but important part of their lineup, isn't he?
Yeah, it's an impressive thing for someone sitting so low in their chair to be able to get themselves back up easily like that. I think even Yannick Blair there isn't able to do that.
He's He's chewing gum at 1,000,000 miles an hour, as he does all game, every game. Ruiz draws some contact. The refs let that one go. Ball to Popel, back to Ruiz. He looks at 3, that's a little short. Blackmore can't reel it in. It almost half volleyed the wheel of his chair. So we've got another substitution for the Salties. Will Crooks is going to come onto the floor, along with Weston Tedcastle. Head coach Tracy York, I think, is of the view that we all are, that they've pretty much got this one under control. Chance for some of the essential players in their squad to get some minutes in a grand final. Jalen Brown almost mysteriously misses a layup. Comes back around, misses another one. And a third. Almost in surprise, he pops down on the ground.
Chooses to take a little nap and lie down on the court for a second.
I don't think he can believe he missed those 3 attempts.
I think I wouldn't blame him on the second 2 once he was posted up, but that layup being a pretty consistent shot that he should be able to make. And maybe just having a little bit too much fun in this game and not focusing on that 1%.
Ruiz streams down the floor, looks inside for Elliott. He sees his shot just bobble out, as been pretty much the story of the second half for the Roller Hawks. Brown all alone, can't get it to go again. Gets his offensive rebound again and puts it back in.
And putting a hand up to Tom O'Neill-Thorne, who I think wanted the assist on that fantastic long pass, but Jalen getting his own rebound.
Popel's pass a fraction too high for Elliott, but Brown can't keep it in bounds, and he's down again.
I think he's not managing to stay in his chair for the last minute or so.
10 seconds for the Roller Hawks to operate. Pass is a little mistimed. O'Neill-Thorne still on the floor, streaming down, avoiding contact. Finds Tedcastle. His shot's up, it's a fraction short. Russell has the rebound poked away from him. Blair comes in and makes a layup. Russell looks a little disgusted with himself. He wasn't aware there was traffic coming behind. Tries a flick pass, which again has been knocked away. Jalen Brown travelling a little too strong. Comes back. Elliott, as he's done all game, persistent defensively. He closes out on Brown. Brown tries the no-look pass. It was a dart.
And again, those little fun passes that they can afford to make in this position. To be fair, that is a pass that I would expect both of them to be able to play with. So surprising that it didn't make it there.
Ethan Halleck onto the floor in number 2 for the Roller Hawks. Coach Stibners has conceded the result is what it is, giving members of his extended squad some court time. Weston Tedcastle from the baseline. His shot's a little long. Ruiz the rebound. Comes middle. Popel avoids all sorts of contact. Elliott sets a screen. Popel makes the shot. Tedcastle left with the simplest of layups. Can't get it to go just a little long. Gets it back. Might have been a fraction of contact there. Elliott steaming the other way. Jalen Brown, he does almost a somersault. Out of his, almost sideways, but got himself back up.
I think that's the play of a man who's fallen out of his chair a few times and is prepared to take that contact.
Ball's inbounded by Smith. Skip pass from Popel to Ruiz. Back to Popel. He looks at 3, that's short. Kick ahead. Layup's a little strong. From Crooks. Ball in dispute on the ground. Ruiz comes up with it. Popel shimming in his chair. Hasso's reappeared on the floor. With his 4 fouls. Elliott makes the left-hand layup for the Rollerhawks. It's the dying stages of the gold medal game. National Wheelchair Basketball League. Coming to you from Northern Beaches Indoor Sports Stadium. We've got a tug of war for the ball. Neither player willing to concede.
I'm not sure if that was not having heard the call being made or just wanting to have a little bit of fun.
As Jordy Ruiz takes a seat, Nick Scott and Jared Emeny onto the floor. For the Rollerhawks, Luke Popel again will go to the bench. He's been everything one could want this afternoon. Just found himself in a team that was just outmatched by an exceptional combination. Crooks drives baseline, finger roll, manages to get his own offensive rebound, kicks it out. A little too long in the key. Unfortunate circumstantial one there.
I think Crooks thinking that there might have been a hands foul coming in there, but not able to make a decision on whether he wanted to kick the ball out, whether he wanted to try and take another shot, and just wasting a little bit too much time.
As Melissa Dunn comes onto the floor for the Salties. She's already seen plenty of action this weekend in the women's final. Skip pass across. Ball finds its way to Nick Scott. Jared Emeny is on the floor for the Rollerhawks as that shot partially blocked. It's been tipped down inside the last 90 seconds. Tom O'Neill-Thorne still on the floor, throwing no-look passes. A little too hot for Melissa Dunn, might have been behind her as well. Campbell, after all the drama of last year's final between these two teams, it's really probably been evident that the Salties have moved ahead.
Yeah, I think just a little bit of experience coming in, especially for Jalen Brown. He's still a very, very young player, but has grown up a lot in the past couple of years.
As Hasso sails across and unceremoniously fouls himself out, signals to the bench that he has 5.
I think he's trying to take my talking moment, but obviously, and also Hasso being a massive
in every
involvement.
sense of the word.
Yeah, massive involvement in the Salties series. I think they've just had a season that's really capitalized on everything that they did right last season, and made sure that the little mistakes that they were making, they've improved on.
Probably the acquisition of Tracy York too, convincing her to spend the season up in Darwin. Vastly experienced coach, and who was commentating at this time last year. And maybe that's freshened things up for some of the senior players. Whatever it is, the chemistry has been impeccable. Ooh. As Will Crooks takes a loud tumble. Draws some contact and will head to the free throw line. He gets a hand up. Just a minute remaining. Plenty of smiles from the Salties players. I think the Rollerhawks have accepted their fate too. It's just a case of the better team on the day and over the season.
And that's the thing. It's not like this game was out of the realms of possibility for the Rollerhawks at the start. It's just kind of crept away from them, and a few too many strong shots from the Salties, and the Rollerhawks not really being able to find their rhythm and potentially not being able to keep that level head. So
It's hard to remember, but it's just a 3-point game at half-time. The Salties just having their nose in front, but they've really powered on in the second half. Stephen Elliott goes baseline. Rebound, Smith can't make that. O'Neill Thorne floating in transition. Finds Melissa Dunn. Extra pass. Shot won't fall for James Chapman, who's on the floor. The best laid plans sometimes coming unstuck. I think everybody in the building wanted him to make that.
I think everyone minus potentially up to 13 people on the side of the Rollerhawks, not wanting to lose by any more.
A little bit of a lulls come over the stadium, full house, but I'm sure once the siren goes in 20-odd seconds, there'll be plenty of celebration from the Salties fans and players. Jalen Brown gets a hand in there, tries to steal it. It's going to roll harmlessly out of bounds. Coach Stibness tells Stephen Elliott to hold it. He may not have heard that instruction. Launches a very long three. It's off. Jalen Brown will hold it. And the Salties can now take a breath.
Yeah.
81-50 winners and putting the crown on a comprehensive season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not to say that the Rollerhawks weren't absolutely in this game at the half, but looking at the season, you have to accept that the Salties were absolutely dominant, playing extremely strong. The powerhouses of Jalen Brown and Hasso, along with the accompanying players behind them, even into their bench, the newer players that they had and that they added on into that game in the last quarter. Fantastic players and really cementing in a season, and what I expect to be another really strong season for them next year as well.
Yeah, I think in terms of the international participation in the league and obviously international players coming in and out and having so many members of the Australian national team here to play through the season, that the Salties have set a level of excellence and world-class standard that now that the challenge is for other teams to try and drag themselves up to that level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that we heard earlier in the weekend from a few different people talking about the league's progression and looking towards where the league will go. And I like the idea that the league will attempt to become that kind of third hub. We have the US college system, obviously, and the European system, but really hoping to find a cemented league in Australia that brings in more and more players internationally and looks to grow that pathway.
Yeah, and we'd certainly like the idea of this being the best possible foundation for the national team programs. And amazingly, we've managed to get Darwin Salty's star, Tom O'Neill-Thorne, along here. Tom, an amazing second half. Well, the first half was great, but the second half, astonishing.
Yeah, I mean, we knew Wollongong were going to come out and play exceptional. It's a final, you're always never going to be close games, but I mean, I think the way that we've kind of played all season is just putting so much pressure on the opposition, and we kind of thought we kind of knew they're going to crack at some stage. It was going to happen in that third quarter, and that's when we took off and put the points on the board.
It seems like the chemistry between the players, we watched last season such a titanic battle with Wollongong that you've gone to another level. We were saying that you've probably taken the league to another level. The challenge now is for other teams to try and get to the point you're at now.
For sure, and personally, I think a big part of that was, Jalen Brown's taking a leap into superstardom. What a season he had. And, I mean, when you bring in a great player like Hasso, I mean, he's an absolute force on the basketball court. And I'm lucky where I play with Hasso in Europe and Jalen with the national team, and so we had good chemistry there. And then when you can have like a wizard like CJ coming off the bench, I mean, yeah, it's a great team and a great vibe, and happy with the win.
Yeah. And you spoke about the value of getting Hasso to come in. What's kind of the value of the international players, and do you think that's going to become more of a
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to have your attention to centre court for the presentations.
Taking a step up.
Presentations will be made by Elizabeth Ong and Brendan McCassie from the Beluga Foundation.
Manuel come back for a second season with Manly. Across
the third place team, the Wheelcats, have already left the building. It's a long way home to Perth, so they've taken advantage and taken the early trip. But let's get the second place team banner presented to the Wollongong Rollerhawks. Their captain, Tristan Knowles.
And what's up for you now? I know you've got a busy schedule with the Rollers.
With the Rollers, we have a week off, or not really a week off, but a week off, and then into a selection camp, and then qualifies, I think, in November, and hopefully we can qualify for Worlds next year.
Okay, we'll let you get back to it. Fantastic stuff. It was a joy to watch.
No, thank you guys. Thanks for the whole season.
Come on, folks, give it up for the Rollerhawks. A fantastic season. And now let's get the gold medal winners out onto centre court to receive their winners' medals. In 0, Jalen Brown. Number 1, Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. Alex Blackmore. Melissa Dunn. Yannick Blair. William Crooks. Tom O'Neill Thorne. James Chapman. Weston Tedcastle. And Luis Eduardo Yasso Sandoval. The head coach, Tracy York. Assistant coaches, Luke Allen and David Gould. And the manager, Trudy Duncan. And unable to make it here today, folks, one of the Darwin Salties players, Sammy White. And now let's present the champions with the banner and the Charles Ryan Trophy to the Darwin Salties co-captains, Clarence McCarthy-Grogan and Tom O'Neill Thorne. And we do have a couple more presentations, ladies and gentlemen. The finals weekend MVP of the men's division. Let's see if you can guess this one. Tom O'Neill Thorne. And there is one more final presentation, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to ask Jane Sachs, Director of WBA, out onto centre court.
Ladies and gentlemen, just before we go today, there is one very special person that, on behalf of the entire wheelchair basketball community, that I wanted to thank. Without their unwavering support, energy, commitment today wouldn't have been possible. So please, all put your hands together and thank Lorraine Landon.
Okay, and with the celebrations going on in the background, that's all we've got for you here today. It's been a fantastic weekend. We can't thank the Manly Wheel Eagles Association an organisation enough for what they've put on here. It's a fitting thing that the team that had demonstrated they were the best during the regular season has been able to annex their second title in a row, the Salties. And we look forward to joining you when the 2026 season rolls around next year.